RENEBOXYOUNG, what is going on? Hey, some information coming out concerning Eddie Hearn and his perspective on Charlo's performance in his fight against Saul Canelo Alvarez. It was an interview floating out there, and he was talking about this, saying that, questioning or doubting or throwing that question out there that if fighters getting paid too much, because he was saying how Charlo, gave a really poor performance against Canelo, how he just got in there because maybe he was thinking, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but maybe he was thinking, I got this big check, and let's not hurt each other, let's just take it easy. And that's Hearn's doubt, that he's throwing out there, that maybe Charlo performed like that because he got a huge paycheck. In an interview before the fight, in the lead up to the fight, Jermell Charlo threw out that $20 million figure, and that's where it just went viral, that, oh yeah, he made 20 million, he made 20 million. He said that before the fight. It was a couple days, if I'm not mistaken, or if it was in the last press conference after that press conference. You know how all these media men and women go to these fighters and ask them questions after the press conferences and stuff like that, or weigh-ins or what have you. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was after the last press conference. They went up to Jermell Charlo asking him questions or whatever, and he mentioned that he was making 20 million. It was the most he's ever made in his career, which I think we all knew. But getting back to that Eddie Hearn was saying that maybe that's why Jermell Charlo performed like that, because or is he getting paid too much? And he was just generally speaking, also with giving an example of Triple G, the way he fought in the trilogy against the Canelo. I tend to disagree in that aspect, because Triple G, man, he was way out of his prime. I've been saying this for such a long time. People just haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? It's there on the channel. I got, on the YouTube channel, those who are listening to TikTok and stuff, go to the channel and check it out. I mean, I've been saying this for such a long time that before the Canelo and Triple G rematch, I was saying that Canelo's going to beat Triple G. And if they have a trilogy, he's going to beat him up even more. And that's exactly why. It's not necessarily because, I don't think, at least it's because, Triple G just came in for a check. That's not in Triple G's nature, It was more because he's out of his prime, man. Triple G was way, way out of his prime when he fought Canelo for the trilogy. Big time. Big time. But getting back to that, Hearn, his perspective was that, Triple G performed like that because he came in for the big paycheck, his retirement money or what have you. But it got me thinking. Because Dana White has been criticized for, underpaying his fighters in the UFC, at least. But it got me thinking, is that why MMA fighters, in this case, UFC, but all MMA fighters, man, they give it their all in that ring? I'm not saying boxers don't, but we do see performances. We cannot deny it. Me as a boxing fan saying this, we do see performances, man, where some of these fighters, it looks like they don't go in there and give it their all, man. We see it. I've seen it, you know what I'm saying? And maybe Charlo, I think it was a mix, man. It could have been a mix of that, I'm getting a nice paycheck. Why kill myself in here? I got my money in the bank, because, Eddie Hearn was saying, where is all this, I'm paraphrasing, where is all this legacy talk? He was talking about legacy, doing greatness or whatever, accomplishing greatness, daring for greatness, whatever. And he didn't show that in the ring. And that's true. Jermell Charlo really didn't show that in the ring, man, in his fight against Canelo. Like I said, it can be a mix of things. It could be a mix of Jermell Charlo feeling that power, or, starting round one, that power from Canelo, and he was probably second guessing, uh-oh, I'm not going to engage with this guy like I was planning on. It could have been that, and it could have been a mix of, I got my check, I'm good, I'm not going to kill myself, and it's a controversial subject, because getting back to that, Dana White, he's not paying those fighters nearly as much as what some of these boxers get paid, and I'm talking about those elite champions in the UFC. I don't really know. I don't do that pocket watching stuff. I'm just doing this video because it makes you think. And Eddie Hearn brought that topic out. So, I don't think those elite fighters in UFC, those elite champions, are making nearly as much as these elite champions, in the sport of boxing. Or probably nearly as much, but not as much. That's why we see time and time again these MMA fighters crossing over to boxing to get that paycheck. And that's why you see time and time again these MMA fighters have no business in doing it, but they do it because they want them paychecks. Calling out these guys, calling out Canelo, calling out these big guys, We just see the recent example of Ngannou, calling out these fighters, wanting to go to pro boxing, and he got his wish, which is great. Ngannou, big ups to him, but that's why we see these guys crossing over to pro boxing, because they want that paycheck. Dana White's not paying them guys like they should. And I'm not saying that fighters should be paid less, but this is where it makes you think that can that be the case in pro boxing, where these fighters get paid so much, they just get comfortable. They get comfortable. And it comes to this also. Are they getting paid too much fighting these lower tier competitors? And we see it time and time again, where the top champs, they just keep fighting these warm-up gigs, man. With all due respect, too, I say it. I respect all fighters. I don't care whether they're lower tier or higher tier, but we see it a little bit too much in the sport of boxing, as far as elite fighters fighting underpar competitors, and they're getting really good paychecks doing it. Can that be the case? Can that be the case to why some fighters don't give it their all when it comes to pro boxing, because they're getting paid too well? What do you think about that? I just wanted to throw that out there, because I'm kind of exhaustifying Eddie Hearn's point of view. And it was pretty much that, maybe some of these fighters are getting paid a little bit too much. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's just a very controversial topic, and an interesting topic that should be talked about. And who knows, maybe promoters will start thinking about that, But hey, I want to hear you in the comment sections. Definitely thank you guys so much, man, for tuning in. RENEBOXYOUNG. Peace.